Thank you for joining us in this panel in which we will talk about forests. This event being an event very much connected with industry, I think it's very interesting if you can look at what's behind, at the beginning of this industry and forests. So we will listen to three speakers with three different views about forests. We will have Cristina, Marques, Nuno, Neto, and João, Rocha. Each one of them will give you an angle of how forests are managed, how we interact with our forest sector outside the company, and also how we communicate with society. We will start with Cristina Marques. She is a biologist with a PhD in forest engineering and biotechnology from North Carolina State University. She consolidated discoveries into applications at RAIZ in eucalypt tissue culture, genomics, genetic improvement, and vegetative propagation for 3 decades. She is currently coordinating collaborative projects and the production of state-of-the-art contents at the Florestas.pt platform, fostering value creation from science to society. So, Cristina, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Paula, and thank you for being present. It's great to have people. Então, isto não funciona?
Just to record the session.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so thank you for being present. It's very important, I think, as Paula mentioned, to also remember that everything starts from the trees. All of the other bioproducts and interesting things we can do start from the forestry. And I'm going to quickly present you. Tanya will control my time because I didn't have much time to test this, the length of the presentation. I'm going to talk a little bit about Florestas.pt, which has been a teamwork, in fact, between the Navigator communication department, RAIZ, and a communication company. I have to use both. Okay. The importance of the value of Florestas.pt and the need for Florestas.pt, a knowledge platform about the Portuguese forest, the different types of forests, the different types of trees and forest areas. It's because, in fact, in Portugal, most of you know, we think that the forest is in fact being bullied by social media, and people don't really have access to state-of-the-art knowledge, information, data about the Portuguese forest. So Florestas.pt mission, in fact, is to collect information that is scattered, is to transform knowledge and data into something that the general public can understand and use. And the final goal is to have people look at the forest in a positive way, value the forest, and invest in the Portuguese forest. Why are we different? We, besides the 5 main menus of the platform that I will detail in a few minutes, we have all of our information is supported by links to the original data and to publicly available reports and references. We also give visibility to teams and currently ongoing research and development projects. We have a glossary, we have frequently asked questions, so there's many ways to access our information, the information that we summarize. I forgot to mention that all of the information it's not only the small team of RAIZ and the communication department and the communication company. We are trying to involve many different stakeholders, forestry, our national forestry stakeholders. So it's in fact a big team that is contributing information to the platform. The Conhecer menu, I forgot to mention too that the platform is in Portuguese, but thank God today Google Translate helps any person to be able to access automatically translated contents. It's not the best, but it's a reasonable solution for people also to access the contents. If people have doubts or would like to comment something, we have a contact menu, and we respond to emails that reach us. Going back to the Conhecer menu, it's mostly about, it has information on different areas. This is a cloud of words that reflect the main themes that are addressed in the platform. So we talk about the Portuguese forest species, natural resources, challenges, including management, climate challenges, diseases, biodiversity. We talk about many different topics. The Valorizar menu tries to include available statistics. We don't have many, but we try to use as much as we can. Of course, this is not a copy-paste procedure because statistics are scattered. Sometimes we cannot compare different statistics. So in fact, all of our contents are original, and they try to detail the available statistics assumptions of the different sources. So people, when they read our contents, can identify the sources and understand why sometimes we have different values for the same question. This menu talks about products and services, the value of products and services, its social impact, innovation themes, bioeconomy. These are topics that you can find in this menu. We have another menu, Descobrir, which is more targeted to families. And the idea here is to inspire people, the general public, to visit a forest, to understand its value through historical curiosities, even recipes that use non-wood forest products, tourism. It's very interesting. We, as I mentioned, involve different stakeholders from academia, and we are recording about 20-25 minute videos where different people that have worked and are interested in forest share their knowledge and experiences. And also we invite people to write opinion articles about 1.5 pages. And here we try to bring even people that are working in, like firemen, technical people that are working directly in the forest. So we have many different perspectives coming to the platform. As I mentioned, we refer all of our sources, and they vary a lot. These are the most used one. The bigger the letters, the more data are coming from these sources, but there are many different sources. We also involve, up to now we have about 19 partner institutions with Florestas.pt. This means there are institutions that are closely associated with us and have people engaged in helping us, reviewing contents, and also contributing with contents. So we basically want to include people from different institutions and different geographies in the country. To summarize this part, we add state-of-the-knowledge information, we centralize information, we contextualize data in geographical and historical terms, we simplify the technical language that sometimes makes it difficult for the public to understand, and we have information that help people understand and help people reach topics in the platform. We also update our contents as soon as we have new statistics or new information. So this is sort of a monster we are building, because up to now we have about 2,500 contents already on the platform. The objective is to reach a different publics, from teachers to journalists to families, general public, besides scientists and technicians. the idea is to provide easy information, easy in the sense that it's clear, it summarizes even different areas of knowledge gathered to answer theoretically simple questions like the water cycle. What are the different parts of the water cycle, or what are the main threats to soil? We try to provide questions that, for example, also students can Google, and they bring people to the platform. We provide accessible outputs that also people can use, mostly students, I imagine, like people can download PDFs, can download infographics, they can access literature resources, photos, and we also have a newsletter. So it's very user-friendly information that people can use in their studies or in their work. Talking a little bit about impact. So we recently, these are data from June, since June until August 2023. By now we have already reached above 1 million visitors in 3 years. I think it's a quite important result, but most of it, what I think is even more important, is that, for example, in the last year, about more than 80% of the visitors that arrived to the platform arrived there by direct Google searches. So they Googled, for example, soils in Portugal or pinus trees, and Google searches, and you can try that. You can try that on your mobiles. Directed them directly to the platform, which I think it's a very good results in terms of the reliability of the information. Another interesting thing is that many different institutions are using the information on the platform, from the media to academia to forest associations. So this is republications of our information in different contexts. We have even been used in the national geography exams of the 11th year. So please visit us. It's easy, you type florestas.pt and you'll get there. We welcome comments, suggestions, if you think there's a theme that it's important for your work, or if you have any question. We have a contact email in the end of the main page. So we welcome all those suggestions and contributions, because it's important for everybody. In fact, the presence of reliable information online helps instruments like the ChatGPT to, when searched by the public, to translate information that is reliable and helps people to get away from many myths that are associated not only with eucalypt but also with some other species in the Portuguese forest. So our target is when people search, for example, like this, eucalyptus in Portugal, myths, the current ChatGPT answer really identifies the myths and also says that balances the information. Already ChatGPT is referring, there are studies that contradict these myths. And so I think this is really important for the public to change the level of discussion. I'm not sure if this will work. This is a video. Can you please? It's just a video that we produced to celebrate our 3rd anniversary. It reinforces what I already said, but it's short. It's just 1 minute. Maybe it's not working, but it's okay, no problem. It's a 1 minute video, basically, with some music and reinforcing the messages. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cristina, in keeping with the time. We will now have Nuno. Nuno is currently the responsible for the forestry operations at the Navigator company. He joined Navigator in 2008, but prior to his current position, he held positions in finance, tax and accounting, and also in the Mozambique project that the company is developing. So Nuno, the floor is yours now.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. First of all, what's due is the clarification of who actually did this. I'm here as the presenter of the work, but mainly the work was carried out by the remaining team, José Luís, Susana Moraes and Daniel, who is here today with us. So the purpose of this paper is to talk about the forests in Portugal and the eucalyptus forests in Portugal, the struggle that it faces and that we face as a company that uses this forest, and some work that we have done to address these issues and try to reverse some of the trends that we face. Some context first. So for those who are not aware of this, we are a forestry country. More than a third of our land is covered by forests, and about 1/4 of that is covered by eucalyptus. Contrary to most of Europe, most of our forests are privately owned. So 98% of the forest land is owned by people like us, and not by the state. And that brings a lot of challenges because there's no little black book with all the people's contacts so that we can reach out and provide information or get in touch in order to extend some practices. In addition to this, we estimate that there are in excess of 400,000 landowners, and the average area of each parcel is in most cases less than 3 hectares. So they are very small parcels, especially in the center and north of Portugal, which gives a lot of particularities in terms of the scale of operations, the profitability of operations, etc. So, as a consequence of generation succession, what happened is that people moved away from the land, from forests, and made different lives in cities, working in other sectors, and in more intensive forest management became something very rare. Most areas I have no actual signs of forest management, no visible traces of any forest management activities, and this is the forest in Portugal. Okay, this is the context, and we depend on this for our industry. Before 2016, forest certification was very rare in Portugal, and this was as a consequence of what I just mentioned. If there is no management, there is no forest management and forest management certification. We addressed certification as a tool to reach out to people and to ensure that we establish some kind of a capillary network to get to as many property owners as possible. In addition to this, we had a challenge, because if we don't have a certified raw materials, we cannot produce certified products, and as such, our markets that we reach with our products were limited, because some of them actually demand forest certification as a feature on the product. So this was the challenge, and what we did was basically to start a project aimed at changing this status. Okay, What we had to do involved a number of players, a number of people. I'll talk about the people later on. But basically, we had to set up a whole marketplace where there was none. Who does forest certification? Because it involves some services around this. Who does it? There was nobody actively doing this. Who takes care of the chain of custody certification? Are suppliers aware that they have to have this so that they can acquire certified wood and then carry it to our mills? There was no active market for this as well. So all of this had to change, and we had to promote the creation of forest certification groups that were able to accommodate property owners, individual property owners combined in these groups, as well as chain of custody suppliers that joined these groups. And of course, we had to provide information, training, awareness, ensuring that people were comfortable with this. There were a lot of myths around forest certification as well that we had to explain and clarify, and provide the resources for this to occur. This is what happened. So regarding chain of custody, so the certification of whoever is involved in the operations from the forest to the mills, we moved from 7% of our suppliers that had this sort of certification in 2015 to 87% in 2022. Today, it's 96%. So we are nearly there. Our target is actually 100%. The last ones are the hardest to convert. They are very tiny in size, in volume, but we're getting there, and we expect to do this. We had to involve a lot of people to do this. These are some of the pictures of events that we did. Bring everybody to the mill, explain the importance of the product first, the certified wood for whatever we do inside our mills and export to our markets, but also for them, because forest certification and chain of custody certification is a change in management, continuous improvement, and it involves changing things like following legal requirements, ensuring health and safety issues, training to people, etc. And so this is the evolution of all of those aspects. We call it certified suppliers, but it's actually much more than that. We also had to be all over the place explaining forest certification. If we start with less than 10% of the wood being supplied to our mills that was certified, nobody actually knew what certification was. So we had to explain, we had to reach out, do a lot of events aimed at clarifying this on a broader level, then sitting down with individual entities and detailing and going through their individual issues, because these are things that once you talk about management, you talk about problems, and people sometimes don't want to open up about their problems with others. So we had to do this behind closed doors, going through each of the suppliers' issues or each of the forest certification groups' issues, going through those problems one by one and solving them. And doing a lot of outreach about forest management and active forest management and certified and sustainable forest management. So, did this work? We moved from 9% in 2015 of certified wood coming from Portuguese forests to 65% in 2022. It is now just under 70%, 70. So I would say it worked. We managed to reach our target in 5 years, reaching more than 50% of the wood coming from Portuguese forests certified. But I remind you that this is something that starts at 0% every year, because the wood that came to our mills in 2023, okay, that was certified, most of it, but in 2024, the percentage of wood coming from certified areas is 0. So we need to start all over again and extend and extend and extend. We can't do this without people. And this was a big part of why we decided to go for this project as well. Not only did we create a network of agents that are able to provide certification services, meaning adding new areas for forest certification groups, and then actually being active in managing those new areas, ensuring that the practices are spread throughout those areas, making sure that they follow up with property owners so that they are aware of changes in law, changes in rules, that they actually commit to carrying out the operations they committed themselves to, etc. And this, basically, we didn't have this sort of network, so we set it up. We talked to a lot of forest management organizations that were active in other areas of the forest sector, and created this new service that they are now carrying out. They couldn't do this with the people they had, so we actually financed the contracting of additional people so that they could encompass all of this work. And those are in terms of their basic training, it's very spread out, because forest certification is also very spread out and requires a lot of different skills. And they complemented these forest certification, forest management organizations with privately owned companies that are service providers that carry out these services as well. So we now have a mix of associations, so they are owned by the property owners that are part of those organizations, but also some of them were set up by 2-3 people that said, okay, let's make a company, let's set up a company and provide these services as part of our activity. And this is the network we rely on to carry out this. But, and this is maybe more important than this external network, we depend a lot on our internal network. A lot of people that work with me, a lot of people that work in Raiz, Daniela, but not only Daniela, are constantly outreaching to the companies that I just mentioned, the organizations I just mentioned, individual property owners, providing additional information, providing additional training, because this is something that is based on continuous improvement. So if they are able to just go over the minimum requirement and get their certification, next year it will be harder, and next year it will be harder, so they need to be continuously improving, and we need to provide all of this input to them so that they are able to grow and be sounder in the way they work. Very important for Navigator, we have a big commitment towards safety overall and to reduce the number of accidents in our mills, but in our forest areas as well. So safety becomes an issue, and training around safety, basic safety rules, working through the different operations and making sure that people are aware of the risks and the procedures they need to follow around each operation is key to reduce accidents. And this is a sector where it's very easy for an accident to become a fatality because of the risks involved. So we are very committed to this as well. So to conclude, we managed to increase forest certification as a result of this, which is probably the initial motivation. More than that, we were able to create a huge network of agents that is now active, providing services in forest management. So there's no excuse for individual property owners not to find somebody that can help them. And this is key, because we need to keep involving people around forest management. And we believe, and we can demonstrate, that the involvement of property owners in forest certification enables the improvement of their practices, the increase of the yields, the productivity, and overall the quality of the stands they own. What are we doing next? Well, we are looking into digitalization. I think we all are, not only this team, but everybody today. We have set up already some tools and are actively looking to exploit new opportunities around digitalization. Forest Sim is mentioned here, is a platform that we provide to all of these forest certification groups in which they can manage the areas that are within their group in a very secure way. So despite the fact that it's the same platform, each group has access only to their information, but it's structured in such a way as to provide all of the rules that both FSC and PFC require, constantly updated. Information around limitations on use of land, for instance, is there and constantly updated. So it's a common ground, a common platform that they all can use to work better and to be more effective. We set up also a wood traceability program, originally named Black Box. This is a solution based in blockchain, where all of our suppliers need to register the wood that they are selling to our mills and to Altruis mills, so that in case there is the duplication of the number of the bill of lading of any load of wood, the solution will provide an alarm. This provides additional safety and additional transparency to the market, because we can demonstrate through this system that fraud is at least addressed and controlled, and there is no way through this system to use the same load and masquerade one additional load that is not certified as being certified. We are investing in forest inventory and monitoring in terms of tools, additional tools and digitalization. This is very important because sometimes the sale of wood is made without actually measuring the wood stands, which means that if you have two parties, the property owner who is less developed and trained in evaluating the volume of standing wood, and somebody that is buying the wood can buy it a lot better, of course, because they will offer a lot less of the actual worth. So we are trying to provide simple tools to make very simple and quick inventories, so that people have more information by the time they are negotiating their sales. We continue to provide access to genetically improved seedlings. We have a genetic improvement program in place for decades. Those plants fit not only our properties, but also everybody else's properties, as long as they enroll and they ask for plants in advance, so that we can produce them and then provide them to them. And we are aiming to increase this network by comparing and looking at the evolution of this ratio. The number of forest technicians, all of those people that I just mentioned, compared to the number of property owners. If this ratio improves, then it means that we have more knowledge close to our property owners, which is, at the end of the day, the best solution to ensure quality in what they are doing. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nuno. We will now give the floor to João Rocha. João is a researcher at FAIS, and his work focuses on water issues, on eucalyptus-dominated areas. So he works with modeling, with the SWOT model, to assess water availability of these areas. And he developed work on climate change impact assessment, as well as on water yields and biomass production with this SWOT model. Let's see what that is.
Okay.
Thank you, Paula. Well, good morning to you all. I'm going to talk about forest in a different perspective. Well, we are trying to assess what is the impact of water on our catchments, on our stands. So the motivation is to provide forest owners and operationals new insights, new knowledge about water availability, water resources and their commitment within our catchment. So the research questions that we addressed, well, what are the main potential impacts of future climate change on our areas, on our stands, and try to assess the constraints associated with these changes and evaluate water balance at a forest level, at a catchment level. And for that, we have to look to the forest cycle, to the water balance cycle, which is quite difficult to assess because we need to get all this information correctly to assess how is the water balance going in present or in future conditions. So let me just give you a brief explanation of our method. Well, we have to collect data from the field. We have to go to the field to get hydrology, to get meteo, water quality, of course, ecophysiology, land use, land management, and within our experimental catchments, we use this data to feed the model. Well, the model is quite complex, quite robust, and it has to build up, has to be calibrated, validated. Then we do the uncertainty analysis, the sensitivity analysis to see if the model is actually capturing all the processes. And later on, we can use EUCALYPT models to assess climate change, climate impacts, and we can do scenario simulations to do management operations, to assess impacts, to create new strategies, to test new management operations. Well, the scenarios are quite huge for us. So we have two experimental catchments running right now. One is up north in Sverdvoge. Well, this is a quite small area, 44 hectares. It is very sloping in slopes. This is covered with bench terraces, and we have data running from, well, almost 3 years now. 5 years now. The other catchment is Tecnicelpa. This is near Constância. This is south of the river Tejo. And this is much bigger, roughly 6 times bigger than the one that I was talking previously, with no terraces, and is largely occupied by eucalyptus stands. And on these catchments, we are collecting a lot of data to feed our models. So we have a flume, that is an open channel that we use to collect water to measure the quantity of water that is running out of the catchment. We also have meteo stations that are capable of assessing the quantity of water that is coming from the rain, from the rainfall. And then we have to do regular readouts to collect all this data from both catchments. And here you can see a huge event that we had. This was Elsa storm back in 2019 in December. We had a lot of water running on our catchment. It was a beautiful day in the field. It was amazing to see all this water running on the catchment. On the other hand, we had the Tecnicelpa. Tecnicelpa is also monitored with a 2-stage weir. It's a different setting, but it captures a lot of good impacts of water levels. And we also have meteo stations too, actually. We have a lot of soil moisture sensors within the catchment. We collect set flows. We have LIE, meaning leaf area index assessment. We have forest inventory, both on both catchments. And we try to collect as much data as we could to feed the models, to do a good parameterization of the models, to be accurate as possible, or more accurate as possible. Well, SWOT modeling, as Paula was saying, is a very powerful and complex model. that tries to represent a catchment. Well, we have to feed the model with meteo data, with water quality data, with land use data, with soil data, management data, stream flow data. Well, all the things that you imagine that are capable of representing a catchment, it has to be within the model as accurate as possible. So we first run the model, then we calibrate the model, and upon that we can do simulations for water yield, for biomass production, for climate change impacts, for management operations. We have to do a lot of scenario, a lot of simulations to get our results. Well, and then we can actually compare simple things as precipitation versus rainfall. Well, what you can see actually is, well, the no flow data means that there was no free flow running within the catchment. But we had precipitation events on the top of the graphics, but the catchment was not able to collect that water, that rainfall. We see a lot of responses with delays. We can actually calculate the delay from the moment that it's raining, from the moment that it's going to be leaking down on the catchment outlet. Well, this is, for us, quite important to understand the hydrological responses. Well, it's going to rain. We have 8 days on this event in particular, 8 days of response until we get the flow coming out of the catchment. Well, this was very, very important, and it has been a very good part of our work to see the relations between precipitation and rain and stream flow. Well, upon using this, we have to calibrate the models. The models were quite good calibrated. We managed to get good results, not the best results, not the perfect fit, but we used LIE, meaning leaf area index, ET, evapotranspiration potential, and real. We also use biomass production to see if the model was actually capturing all the quantity of wood that was being produced within our area. So this was, and it is, a very complex set of data that we have to use, that we have to acquire, but it corroborates quite good the model skills to simulate the catchment. Well, just to give you small examples, or not small, they are quite complex indeed, of what are the capabilities of the model and what we have used so far. Well, on the Braçal we try to assess the impacts of terraces, bench terraces. Well, the area, it has something like 59% of the area covered with bench terraces. And we needed to evaluate what was the impact of terraces on promoting water conservation on soil, which is very important because terrace is an old practice, but it helps to promote moisture within the soil, so stands can have much more water available to grow. This is important for the trees. And we use different digital elevation models to capture the smallest details. Well, we got a 10-meter digital elevation model, which is very low in detail, and we managed to get a LiDAR digital elevation model with 25 centimeters resolution. This is wonderful to see. You can see actually small stones within the model, which is perfect. Well, at least for me, I'm a modeler. And it is quite good to see how these small details impact the resolution of the model and the quality of the results of the model. And we could actually see that on your left-hand side, there is the model that is representing the catchment with no terraces. And on the right-hand side, we can see the catchment, the same catchment, but with the terraces. And by comparing them, we can understand or assess what is the effect of bench terraces on our catchment. And we were able to see that this different in digital elevation model that is an input and the SWOT, could actually represent something like 28 to 36% of amount of water that was trapped within our terraces. So, in concluding, terraces are, in my opinion, a very good practice to promote water-soil conservation. On the other hand, we also try to assess spatial and temporal variation of biomass production. Well, we managed to do it on a spatial scale and very detailed scale. This is our catchment, Tecnicelpa, that we roughly divided in several sub-basins. On each one we have to parameterize against stands age, against growth rates. Well, and we managed to see for future climate change, we used 3 climate models bio-corrected. We could see that in the future we're going to have both negative and positive impacts. So some subcatchments in green, they pointed to growth or increase on biomass production. And on the right-hand side, the RCA model projects for the future reduction in biomass production and also in water yields. So what this gives us is a very good idea how it's going to be in the future. But keep in mind that we are only using 3 climate models for 2 RCPs. And they are very different apart. They have very different assumptions within them. So, well, all this work has been a struggle for us. It's been very complex, and it has resulted so far in 3 papers. We are now working on the 4th, and the 5th is already going to be written. So this is pretty much the idea, and thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, João. So we've just had 3 very interesting presentations. João giving us a view on the way companies manage their own forests, but go deeper in research and development, trying to understand more, to make use of knowledge, to better manage and to better anticipate the effects of climate change in this case. But then Nuno showed us that companies go beyond the boundaries of forests, of their own forests, and try to impact the whole forest sector as a whole with the outreach programs. And then Cristina goes a little bit further, the forest sector, and shows how companies and the Research and Development Institute, how they outreach also the society in general, making use of different ways of passing the messages, trying to influence, to inform, to share knowledge. So all these 3 perspectives, I think they can interconnect into the same purpose. I would like now to give the word to the audience and asking if anyone has a question for our speakers today. I know that they were very enlightening, but I'm sure that some question may come from any of you. Good. Thank you.
Hello, my question is for João. You know, this is not my area, so I was curious about the catchment placement. How do you choose where to put it so you have the more reliable data you want?
Well, Isabel, thank you. Well, Isabel, thank you. That's a tricky one. Well, it's very difficult to assess an area that's going to be monitored. Why? Because you don't know all the areas. The process begins with talking with technicians and asking them, Do you know any place that is owned by the company, that we could see actually free flow running through the summer? This means that we will have water running through the year. So if the summer has water, well, let's check it. We first see in the field, okay, it is running water for the summer, so it's good for us. Then we have to decide the catchment area. It is quite difficult because you have to, sorry, it has to be like this. What is a watershed? Watershed is a place where all the water that's coming is going to be leaking on a point. This is the outlet. So, thank you, Nuno. So we have to see if the topographic setting, if the geometry is capable of having a catchment, meaning that we have to have an outlet. It has to be covered with eucalypt stands, something like 70 to 80% minimum, and then you see if it is easy to be accessed, because we have tried to put in areas like Serra da Freita and Rocha. It was a mess for us to reach the point where you have to be all weeks running the data, collecting the data. So, well, it begins with the field, going to the computer and to assess all the constraints that we need to fulfill, then checking the field. Then we have to put some sensors to see if the water, if it's actually having flows and high peaks, low peaks. Afterwards, okay, let's get some instruments that are quite expensive to construct the open channel, to put the sensors, and then hopefully it's going to be running water throughout the cycle. That's the main idea, Isabel. Was it clear enough? Thank you.
Thank you, João. How enthusiastic is he in showing with his hands his work.
Yeah.
Any other question for Nuno or Cristina?
There's no question.
Okay. I'll pass you the mic.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for very nice presentations. I know some of those areas, and I know how difficult it is to achieve or to access to some areas, especially in the north. We've been talking about forest certification, and I remember well when I was selling pulp around Europe, and everybody was asking for FSC or PFC. Now, Mr. Ursula is asking us to have a sustainable biomass to burn in our boilers. And FSC and PFC, apparently, they are working on that, but they are not ready yet. How is the sustainable certification for biomass on the group now?
I think I would be doing a better job answering the question before this one. So, it's very hard to design a system to ensure the certification of biomass in the same manner as we do with wood. And the main reason for that is that wood is a uniform product, so we can trace it better than with biomass. In addition to that, we have to consider the forest management and the sustainability of the forest management. So this means that even if we could design a system to ensure that the biomass was traceable, we would still and will still need to ensure that is removed sustainably, because it's the organic matter that we should balance in the parcels when we extract it. My view on this is a personal one. It's my reflection, so there is no design still for this. I believe that we will follow more the lines of the smallholder certification procedures that are being designed rather than the traditional forest certification that we know. And what that does is that we have different players in the sector. We have the property owners, we have the parcel, of course, but then we have service providers, wood buyers, wood harvesters, and then loggers and transportation. If we could certify every single one of these players instead of the individual parcel, we would be controlling the way that the operations are done and not the product itself. And then we could have additional procedures to try and trace the origin of the product, but in order to ensure that the methods of extraction are sustainable and overall the product is sustainable, I believe that we will move towards certifying the players more than the actual parcel. And maybe that's the way that we can reach that.
Thank you, Nuno. Any other question from the audience?
Just a comment to Cristina, everybody is listening, no problem.
Okay.
Cristina, this is very good, but I didn't know that that thing exists. So, why don't you write a paper for Tecnicelpa newspaper so that everybody knows that you exist and the model exists?
Okay. That's a good challenge, but
It's a
if
challenge.
you Google,
I
you
already done
will
it.
get there.
I already done it.
You didn't get there?
No, I went.
Ah,
I
okay.
didn't find
No,
your
well,
face.
it's a
I
good
didn't find your
suggestion.
face when I
Thank
went.
you. Thank you. Any other question? Okay, in the back, please.
Hello, can you? It's a question to Nuno. It is a remarkable effort to increase the amount of certified wood in Portugal, but how it compares with the Spanish forest in terms of percentage of certification, and also if you have any data to share of how much is the certification of the South American forest, which is also one of the suppliers for the Portuguese companies. Thank you.
Okay, so regarding Spain, Spain is a big country. Let's talk about the eucalyptus Spain. The Spanish eucalyptus is mainly located in Galicia and Asturias somewhat, not so much in the south these days because since Huelva closed its mill, the forest in the south became less expressive. But over there in Galicia, we have around 90% certified wood. So it means that they started this process before us. They moved towards their goal over time, and so they are still a few steps in front of us. I believe it's easier because they made a commitment as a whole to demand certification in the mills. And so this became an obligation to every single property owner. If they wanted to sell their wood, they would have to certify, and it moved quicker. That's fine. We had a different model. We'll get there. In South America, the reality is also very different. Contrary to us, where we basically rely on individual property owners selling their wood to a value chain that then delivers that wood to the mills. In South America, most of the property of the forest areas are actually owned by the companies. And that means that they can certify all of the area that they have, as we did quite a few years ago. Paula was in charge of that process, and we Navigator have certificate number 1 in Portugal for FSC and PFC. And so that's 100%. That's easy. Everything that we manage is 100%. But the difficulty is how can we reach somebody that has 3,000 meters somewhere in a hill, and the hill is in Aruca, but the person lives in Praga, or lives in Porto, or in Lisbon. That's the difficulty. And Brazil, Uruguay, etc. don't have those challenges. They have other challenges, but they don't have those challenges, so they were able to accelerate certification because most of the wood they use, it's their own.
Okay, so being mindful of time, I think we have to wrap up this session. I thank you, Cristina, Nuno, and João. Cristina just let us know about this Florestas.pt, which is clearly a success story, and we will learn more when she writes the article for Tecnicelpa, of course. But she showed us that it has a clear impact in society with all the numbers, all the information that she shared. And also Nuno, certification inside our house may be easier, but outreaching the others is difficult. And he showed that this diverse portfolio of solutions and approaches, it's because there's no one size fits all, so you have to have different approaches, and it's working. And also João showing us that climate change is also part of our preoccupations in forest management, so that's why R&D is working on that and focusing on water, which is a sensitive issue for Portugal. Thank you very much, three of you. Thank you.